Viewers, imagine this. If a president stood before his nation and announced that he was about to release 1 million chickens into the country's fields and forests, what would your first reaction be? You'd probably laugh or think he's gone mad. That's exactly what the world did when Captain Ibrahim Traoré made this bold declaration in Burkina Faso's parliament. Ministers and advisors exchanged puzzled looks. The next morning, newspapers around the world mocked it, calling it a ridiculous experiment, an expensive joke, even a sign of desperation. But in that crowded room, there was one man who stood unshaken, confident in his decision. That man was Ibrahim Traoré himself. So why did he take such an unusual step? The answer lies deep in the struggles of his people. Burkina Faso is a nation where farmers work tirelessly from dawn till dusk, sowing seeds, watering their crops, and waiting with hope for the golden days of harvest. But just when those fields are ready, dark clouds appear on the horizon, not clouds of rain, but swarms of locusts and insects, descending like an army of destruction. In just a few hours, entire fields are wiped out, crops devoured, dreams shattered. Imagine a farmer who worked day and night with his wife and children, only to wake up one morning and find nothing but dry dust and broken stalks where his green fields once stood. This was the harsh reality across thousands of villages in Burkina Faso. Farmers were forced to buy expensive imported pesticides from Europe, chemicals that killed the pests for a while, but slowly poisoned the land, drained its fertility, and polluted the water. They fell deeper into debt. Every harvest brought fear, the fear that the locusts might return at any time. International aid organizations made promises, but their solutions were slow, bureaucratic, and temporary. That's when Ibrahim Traoré realized something. If Burkina Faso continued following these old systems, they would always remain dependent on foreign powers. He decided to find a solution that was African, natural, and sustainable. And that's when he saw the answer. Chickens. Yes, the same ordinary chickens that people raise for eggs and meat. But in Traoré's eyes, these were not just birds. They were soldiers, a natural army that could protect the nation's food security. He had a simple yet revolutionary idea. If insects and locusts were eating the crops, why not release the very creatures that eat them? You might be surprised to know that a single chicken can eat hundreds of insects every day. Locusts, worms, caterpillars, beetles, all are part of its natural diet. So if one chicken can eat hundreds of pests, imagine what 1 million chickens could do. This was not just an agricultural plan, it was a war. A war not fought with chemicals or machines, but with nature itself. A war of intelligence, patience, and belief. The kind of war that only a visionary leader could wage. Ibrahim Traoré stood before his people and declared, "This is not a war of chemicals. This is a war fought with the power of nature itself. These chickens, they are our soldiers. They are the guardians of our fields, the protectors of our soil, and the heartbeat of our land." He believed that if this plan succeeded, Burkina Faso would not only be saved from the plague of locusts, but also free itself from the toxic grip of imported chemical pesticides that had been destroying its soil for decades. But Traoré's vision didn't end there. He saw beyond the battlefields of the farms. He realized that these chickens were not just destroyers of pests. They were also a source of life, food, and hope for his people. Because when the insects disappeared, these chickens would begin to lay eggs, breed new generations, and create a cycle of abundance. A cycle that would not only protect the fields, but also bring nutrition, income, and self-reliance to every home in the countryside. Traoré called it a double-edged revolution. On one side, the chickens were fighting the enemies of the crops, eating the locusts, worms, and beetles that once destroyed farmers' livelihoods. On the other side, they were laying eggs, providing meat, and becoming the cheapest source of protein for thousands of families. Think about it. Viewers, a village woman who once struggled daily just to feed her children could now sell eggs in the local market and earn a steady income. Children who once suffered from malnutrition could now start their mornings with eggs for breakfast. And farmers who were once buried under the burden of debt and pesticides were now saving their fields and earning new income, all thanks to these humble birds. Within just a few months, a wave of hope began to spread across the rural lands of Burkina Faso. People started saying, these chickens are not just birds, they are our protectors. Local radio channels began broadcasting stories of joy and success. Elderly farmers, speaking in their native tongues, said proudly, no one in history has ever fought locusts with chickens. But if these are our own birds, then this is our own solution. And they were right. The land was healing, free from poisons and pesticides. The farmers were stronger, their fields greener, and their families healthier. And for the first time in decades, ordinary people were tasting freedom. Not through foreign aid, but through their own efforts, their own soil, and their own creativity. But soon the outside world noticed. International media and political analysts erupted with criticism and mockery. Western newspapers ran sarcastic headlines. Africa goes crazy. Chickens versus locusts. Burkina Faso's new circus. Millions of birds for a million dreams. Analysts in Europe and America laughed, saying, this poor nation is wasting millions of dollars on chickens when it should be buying chemical sprays from international companies. Some even called it a populist stunt, claiming Traoré was only trying to win temporary applause from his people. But Ibrahim Traoré, calm and determined, refused to respond with anger. He knew something the world did not. He knew that nature always fights for those who fight with it, not against it. He responded to the accusations calmly. He said, the real inflation is hunger. The real loss is when children go to sleep hungry. These chickens are not a waste of money. They are an investment. His words touched the hearts of the people. Farmers began to say, we don't need chemicals. We need solutions that protect our soil and feed our children. Interestingly, while Western media was mocking the project, a new kind of conversation had begun across Africa. Young Africans started saying, if we find our own solutions to our problems, only then will we truly be free. Otherwise, we'll remain dependent on others forever. That was exactly Ibrahim Traoré's purpose, to awaken this realization among his people, that Africa's problems can and must be solved by Africans themselves. So what the West tried to ridicule became a symbol of hope and revolution for the people of Burkina Faso. Now, even global analysts had to admit, if this experiment succeeded, it wouldn't just change Burkina Faso, it could transform the entire region. And so, dear viewers, you've seen how Ibrahim Traoré made a decision that everyone once mocked. But time proved that this very decision brought new life and hope to the farmers and people of Burkina Faso. Those 1 million chickens, which at first seemed like a joke, turned out to be a revolutionary weapon. They not only reduced locust and insect attacks, but also provided food, employment, and prosperity to millions of families. While rich nations relied on toxic sprays and expensive technologies, a young president taught his people a powerful lesson, that with honest intentions and local solutions, even the greatest crises can be overcome. This story teaches us that sometimes the things we consider small or ordinary are actually our greatest strengths. Ibrahim Traoré didn't see chickens as mere birds. He saw them as a natural army. And today, that very army is protecting the farmlands of Burkina Faso. The question now is, can our own leaders make such bold and visionary decisions? Can we too trust our land, our resources, and our people? Or will we continue depending on others forever? Friends, if this story inspired you and you'd like us to bring you more of Ibrahim Traoré's astonishing projects, then please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss the next story. And tell us in the comments, do you think simple yet revolutionary ideas like this could also succeed in countries like Pakistan? Your opinion matters to us, because perhaps tomorrow your thoughts could become the foundation of a great change.